Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll masach this Sotah daf Chaf Beis. We're going to begin on the very top of Chaf Beis Amud Aleph. So we were learning about a person who only was engaged in learning Chumash and Mishnah, but was not Shimish Talmidei Chachamim, in which Rashi says does not learn Gemara. So that is a detrimental and negative thing, in which such a person is considered to be, as is stated in the Mishnah, of the numerous other examples that are provided here, someone who's a Rasha Oru. So now the Gemara continues. Itmar, we go like this. So if you have this person, this person is considered to be an Am Haaretz, and the din of being an Am Haaretz, Rashi says here, Shechashad al Maisris val Taharis, that he is chayshid, that perhaps he didn't separate Trumas and Maisros, and also the din of him being Tameh. Let's hold off on that, because not too much later is almost an identical Rashi, which is kind of interesting, on the same daf, explaining what is the halachic ramifications of being an Amaretz. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Harizeh Bor. The person doesn't learn Gemara, says Rashi, Geruim Amaretz. You're an ignoramus, which is even worse. Rabbi Yana Amar Harizeh Kuti. Says Rashi, what is a kuti? That v'asol echel pitoi b'yeno, you're not to eat from his bread or wine. Since he doesn't know Gemara, which gets you to the final outcome, inu makbin al divrei chachamim. He doesn't really care what the chachamim say. The only reason why he is learning Chumash and Mishnah is to act like he knows something, but the truth is, he's not really delving deep, and therefore, because of that, he is the status of a kuti, he can't eat his bread or wine. Rav Achbar Yaakov Omer Harizeh Magosh. Rashi says machashiv. He's involved in witchcraft and sorcery and magic. Not a good thing. Okay. Omer Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Again, the idea is someone who's a magician. He gives over an impression that he's able to do something to trick an audience. And that's the same thing what this guy's trying to do. It's not just that he doesn't learn Gemara. The point is that he's deliberately only learning certain things to be able to show that he has this level of knowledge to be able to win people over, but the truth is he's not doing it sincerely. It's logical, like this last opinion that's in Magosh. Inshi Ratin Magosha Yoda my Oimar, that a person who Rashi says Targum Choiver Chaver, which is a Magoish, someone who's involved in this form of witchcraft, he does not know what he's saying. It says Rashi, Ve'enu Mevin Mahem Ma Perusham El Kach Masayim. This is their actions. Shemachashefos Ba Alidi Oisam Halachashim. Those who are engaged in this form of witchcraft in saying these different words is considered to be, again, a magoish. Tani Tana, and he learned v'lo yada ma oimar, but he does not know what he said. Says Rashi, Avzat Tana shlishimish b'tam shana mishnasav eni yodei mahi. Tanaban ezu amaretz. This is a famous Gemara brachos elsewhere. So what's an amaretz? So unbelievably, Rashi almost repeats himself here. Shenechshad al taharais v'al hamaisrus umuchsak magoy tameh. Anything that he touches is tameh. So Rashi kind of adds to that piece, explaining being nechshal taharos. Why does Rashi have to say it again? And Rashi before reverses the order. It talks about chashal maisus and then taharos, and over here it talks about taharos and the maisus. Okay, it's an interesting question. So again, what's an amaretz? So different answers. All these answers are going to be tied into Kriyishma. Kol she'enu kara Kriyishma shachas v'harvis beberchasahal. And who doesn't say the Shema in the morning and night with its brachos, Divrei Meir. So Rameir says that's on Am Haaretz. Says Rashi, D'havade in Yodei Klum. He knows nothing. Abel Yodei Likrois v'karei v'lam Aretzu. But if let's say he does know how to read, and he does, that's not Am Haaretz. So Chacham Amrim Kol she'enu maniach tefillin. He doesn't wear tefillin. So again, because in the Shema it talks about tefillin. Benazi Omer Kol she'en lo tzitzis, which again it talks about in the third paragraph of Shema. Tzitzis bevigdai. Rav Yonasan ben Yosef Omer Kol Sheish Lobanim Ein Megadolim L'Torah. If you have children, you don't teach them Torah. So again, also it's in the Shema. It says Vishanantam U'Banecha. Acherim Oimrim. The Acherim say Afilu Kar B'Shayin V'Shimish Tam Chachamim Har Zeh Am Haaretz. Even if you learn Chumash Mishnah, but you don't learn Gemara, that's an Am Haaretz. Kar B'Lo Shana Har Zeh Bor. So let's say you learn Chumash only, but not Mishnah, nothing. You're considered to be a bore. You're ignoramus. Lower than an Am Haaretz. Lo Kar B'Lo Shana. Let's say you do nothing. So Lavakasav Oimer. V'zerati Esbeis Yisrael, planted B'nai Yisrael, V'esbeis Yehuda Zera, Adam Zera Behema. So you're likened to an animal. So an animal is someone who lives on instincts, not based on intellect, because you don't have intellect, and that's the reality, because all you do is live your life without, again, any connection to Torah. And then the pasuk says, Yiras Hashem b'ni v'melech, fearing Hashem, my child king, v'im shainim, so we're going to focus on that word, v'im shainim al tisarev, and don't mingle with them. So Rabbi Yitzchak, elu sheshainim halachos, these are people that learn halachos, says Rashi, shloshim shalotam chachamim, v'hikpidu al tamya mishnayos. So they're not makbid on understanding the mishnayos that they're learning, so you shouldn't associate yourself with them. So the word halachos in this case actually means mishnayos, says Rashi, is pshita. Obviously, you shouldn't associate with them. Pshita smadatema shainim b'chet. Maybe it just means that they repeat chet. What does that mean? Now, do they sin again. V'karav huna. Di'amarav huna kivan sharba adam avera v'shanaba hotoi. And once a person does an avera and does it again, it's mutter to him. Or the Gemara in Kedushin says nasol keheter. It's Rashi doima be'enav heter. It's like it's mutter. Kamashmon, that the pasuk shainim doesn't mean that he repeats, someone who repeats in sin, but it means someone that is lacks in their learning. Kamashmon Tana hatanoyim mibali oilam. So the Tanoim are considered to be mibali oilam. Mibali oilam salfa daitach, says Rashi. Mahim garmim lacher. What are they causing others? Ravina shimarim halacha mitaych mishnasan, that they are paskin halacha through Mishnah. Says Rashi Kaimer shimadun oilim b'harais tois, that they cause mistakes among people. The kivan she'en yodim kami Mishnah, they don't understand it. Pamim garmim she'medamen ladavar she'enai daima. Sometimes they'll learn something, but it's not going to actually be true, because you need the Gemara to be able to elaborate and explain what, in fact, these Mishnayos are talking about. They're considered to be those who are Yeshiva Oilam. They're people who inhabit the world. Shenemar Halichas Olam Oil. El Shemarin Halachim Mitech Mishnayos. It's referring that nothing wrong learning Mishnayos and Chumash is great, but if you're more Halachim Mitech Mishnayos, that's the problem. Isha Perusha B'chul. So we also said in our Mishnah, going back a little bit to Daf Chaf, I believe, Chaf Amud Aleph. So we mentioned a list of people that who are Chassid Shaita, which we talked who that is. A Rasha Orm we've been discussing, and Isha Perua Makas Perushim Har Ilu Mabali Oilum. So these are people who are Mabali Oilum, which is not a good thing. So what exactly does this mean? A woman who's a Porsche separates. That sounds like a good thing. Cool. Tarnaban. Besula Salyonis. It's referring to a woman that she's a davener. No, she davens continuously, which that itself sounds good, but we'll explain. Va'almana Shayvavis. If you have a widow that is visits often neighbors, says Rashi, Bal Shchenois, Hoylechas Mavakeres Shchenoseha Tomi. She's constantly going to neighbors' homes. The Katan Shul Koloi Chadashav. Or if you have a child that has not reached his age of maturity, Hari Elu Mebali Oila. So that's going to be explained. But Rashi says, She'enim Ela Noafais, Umachashvais, Umaris Atzman, Kasid Kanyos, Shal Yivdaku Acharehen. So they are doing this not with sincerity. They're doing it just to try to either impress people, or they're involved in potential sin. So Eini v'yom Rav Yochanan l'madati yiraschet mebesula. I learned out fearing sin from a basula. V'kibul sachar mi'almana, and receiving reward from a widow. Yiraschet mebesula. How do we see that? Rav Yochanan shama hi basula. Rav Yochanan once heard a basula. The nafla apa, that she fell on her face. She was praying. V'ka'amra, and she said, Rabbi Shalom, barasa gan eden and barasa gehinum. There's two things you created, the heavens and hell. Barasa tzadikim and barasa rishayim. You created tzadikim and you created rishayim, which seems like there's no bechira. No one should stumble. So we see that she had great piety. So this actually sounds like really a good thing. It says Rashi, "Shul lahafsid chelkam al yadi megan eden v'yirish gehenim." I hope that no one will be nichshel because of me. I don't want them to go to Gehenna. Kibul sachar me'almana and ahi almana and ahavi bekanista. There was a woman who was a widow, was by the shul b'shvusa, but which is by her neighbor. Kol yoma havius asa. She used to always go there umatzal and daven in Beit Midrash and Rav Yochanan. Or mulibiti lo beis achneses b'shvuseich. You don't have a shul in your neighborhood. Zarmalei Rabbi v'lo schar pasiyoisei. I should be able to get reward for these extra steps. So therefore, even though I'm going to a neighboring place, but I get schar for it. So again, l'chayra, it's a kasha. A basul who davens well is quite a good thing. It's not bad. So how can we call it bad? So ki ka'amar kagon yochani bas retivi. We're talking specifically if we're dealing with someone like Yochani bas Retive. Says Rashi, Almana machashefa haisa. She was like a witch. Umashagia es ledas isha. When it came time to get a woman to give birth, haisa oitseres rachma mimachshefos. She would close up their womb with her witchcraft. Loyachar shematseres harbe. When she was in great pain, haisa omeres, she would say, Elech al go v'yavakish rachamim, I'll ask mercy. Ulai tishama tfilasi. Maybe Hashem will listen to my prayers. V'holechas, she goes, v'soy seres kishafeha, and she just reverses her curse on this woman. Vlad yaitz, and the child comes out. Pamachas hayilo sechir yoim bevesa. There was someone who was getting paid by the day in the house. V'hi holchel abesa isha. And she went to this house where a woman was giving birth. And they overheard the witchcraft that she was doing. Miskashkishin Bakli, she was banging a vessel. Kamosha Vlad Mikashkin Bimeya Aim, just like a child is banging inside the mother. Uva Ufasach es Megufas Akli, Bakshopim Yotsu, Vlad Noilad. Vyadu Kibalos Kshopim He. So they realized she was a Balas Kshafim. So in other words, long answer found in Rashi, a woman who davens with great kavana, that's obviously a great thing. And in fact, that's something in which, again, Rav Yochanan was able to learn from a basula, her great davening, that she wanted to make sure that she was on a great madrega, that she was someone that embodied Yiraschet. And Kibul Sachar from an almana, receiving reward from a widow, that she went further in order to be able to get reward by walking that further distance. That's okay. That's good. However, a woman who's engaged in witchcraft, like this woman, Yochani Bas TV, that's what it's referring to. So my katan shel kalu chadasha. So what does this mean? A child who is not usually means not a viable child. So hacha targum yuzet talmid chacham hamabit b'rabboisav. This is a person, you may be a talmid chacham, but you're someone that is literally kicking your teacher. Says Rashi, "V'karli katan." Why are you a kid? Shel higia chadashav, because alidei sheyamav miskatzrin, because your days are going to end up being shortened because of your disrespect to the teachers. Rabbi Abel Eimer, Zet Talmud Shal Higia L'Hoira U'Moira. This is referring to someone who is not really on the level to paskin, in that they do it anyway. So they're really a katan. They may be an adult, but they have the actual intellectual capability to paskin like a katan who doesn't. What does this pasuk mean when it says in Mishlei, Ki rabim chalolim hipila vatsumim kol harugeha? So Ki rabim chalolim hipila, so that there are many people that fell. That he shouldn't have paskin, but he did it anyway. So on this, Rashi says, Be'isha zara mishtoi. This is referring to like a strange woman. But Talmud she'enu noig atzmo kishura. This is like a Talmud who doesn't act properly is also given this this term, this language, that like the language of a nefel. But sumim, which is like a stillborn, which means that you're not viable. So too, you're also on that level. You're not viable. You're not capable yet of paskin. About sumim kol harugeha, so that the strong ones, what is that? Zetam lechachem shegil hayra. You're someone who actually is a lashon oitzim. You're strong. The enu moira, but you still decide not to paskin. So if you're not able to paskin and you do it, or if you're able to paskin but you don't, so that is obviously a negative. Question 5. So what is this referring to? Either Talmud Chacham hamabit baraboisav, literally he kicks his teachers, which doesn't mean literally, but it means he shows absolute disrespect to them. Or Talmud Chacham shohigia l'hoira umoira, or Talmud Chacham who again is really too young to be able to paskin, but he does so anyway. This is also TA 2. Katan shel kal chadashav, so ma kavana. So let's see if he says it differently. O Talmud Chacham hamavid b'raboisav, o Talmud shohagia l'hoira umoira. TA 2. Okay. All right. All right, let's look at TB3. I may not have done this yet. Oh, I haven't done it yet. Okay. All right. Weiter. So, Zed Talmud Chacham shegil hoyra ve'inu moira. Okay. Weiter. Chapez amid base. Let me just see if there's a Rashi on this. No. So, Ad Kama. So, the question is, until when? Ad Kama what? Says Rashi, Habi Roy L'Hoyra. What is the age that you're able to paskin? So Gemara says, Ad Arboyin Shnid. You have to wait till you're 40 years old. Eini V'Harabba Oiri. Rabba did it. Yeah, B'Shavin. What does that mean? It says Rashi, V'Chol Shanaisa V'Inu Elamem. We know that he only lived until he was 40. B'Shavin says Rashi, Im Shavel Gadol Ha'ir B'Chachma Mutul Hairis. O She'in Zakim Mimenu B'Ir. If there's no one else in the city, then you could paskin, even if you're under 40, or if you're equal in stature, which is question 6. Again, if there's no one else around that's capable of doing it, or you're equal to those other scholars, which is TB3. 40. As we said before. So TB3 is the same question. Okay. Alright, Weiter. Tanubah. Umaka is Perushim. So the Makkah of those who are Pirish is also Mebali Oilam. Tanubah. Shiva Perushin Hain. There are 7 people who are considered. Actually, let's look at this Taisus over here. Shmamino lo koim inish adaite derabia ad arbishnin. So we see from here that again, it's until 40 years that a person should actually stand on like his own knowledge as like again being equal and having Torah. It says Taisus also im shavel gadol ha'ir b'chachma mutul ha'rais. And he asks Akasha. Okay. So there's 7 perushim. Parish Shichmi, which we're going to explain what these are. Parish Nikvi, Parish Kizai, Parish Modochia, Parish Machoivasi, Sena, Parish Mi'ava, Parish Mi'ira. So these are 7 people, which is not good to be part of this list. So what does each one mean? So Parish Shichmi, Zeh Oysa Masa Shchem. You do a Masa of Shchem. What was Shchem? So says Rashi, Shemo Sholashim Shemayim. We know that when he took Dinah, he was told by they were told by Shimon Levi, okay, do a bris milah. So he did it, but he didn't just because he wanted to be with Dinah. He didn't do it because he actually wanted to connect to Hashem. Avzeh Masev L'Hanasai. Says Rashi, Shichabduhu b'nei Adam v'Lashem Shemayim. He only does certain things in order to impress people, but he's not doing it for the right reasons. Parish Nikvi, Zeh Hamanakef Es Raglo. This is someone whose feet bang into each other. So it says Rashi, Mahalach B'Shvilus Akev Latzad Goidel. You take like steps that your ankles are banging into the front of your feet. You're not taking big steps, and you're trying to do it again to act impressive, but you end up hurting yourself because you're banging into your own feet. Parish Kizoi Amrav Nachman Yitzchak Zeh Hamakas Dam L'Ksolon. This is someone who lets out blood onto walls. Why? Because Asa Atzmo K'oitzim Einav. It's like your eyes are closed. So you stako b'nashim. You don't want to look at women. Mitokach Maka Roisha B'Kaisel. You hit your head into the wall. V'Adam Yoitze. So that's again an absolute extreme. Parish Madoichia. So Amarabba Bar Shila Dimit Shapa Ki Mochoya. That your head is bent down just like mortar. Hoylech Kofov means you bend all the way down. Parish Machoivasi Ve'asena. So a person says, I'm going to separate and do whatever I still need to do. So where it says, Hamal Yustahi, that sounds good, that you're interested in doing the mitzvahs properly. It says Rashi, Im Enu Baki Bisurin V'Dikduke Mitzvah Saval Lilmoid. So maybe he doesn't know the law, so he says, I don't know how to do this. What do I need to do? What do I need to do here? So that sounds pretty good. El Diamer Machoi Vasi, what am I obligated to do? So and I'll do it. In other words, what he was saying is, says Rashi, Umar Atzma Ki'u Kayim Esakoil. So he's basically trying to impress that he's already done everything. Parish Miyava, Parish Miyira, says Rashi, if you from loving Hashem, Avas Schar Mitzvahs, you love the reward, Lo Avas Mitzvahs Abayri, not because of a love to Hashem's mitzvahs. Miyira Shal Einshin, you're afraid of getting punished. So Amalei Abai V'Rabba Latana Lo Tisni Parish Miyava, Parish Miyira. These two should not be on the list, even though maybe it wasn't with the greatest motivation. It's really Shlo Shema, but still that's okay, because the Yom Rabbi Yehuda Marav Olam Yasek Adam Batar B'Mitzvah Sifli Shlo Shema Shemitach Shlo Shema Bol Shema. We know that it's a process. A person's not just going to immediately get to the top. You have to go step by step. So at least he's doing mitzvos, and he's doing it even though Shlo Shema. Eventually, hopefully, he'll be doing it with Shema. It says Taisus. It's like poison. So in this, the Gemara says, it's good that they shouldn't even be created. So Taisus here and elsewhere, it says that we're talking about a different type of person. It's not just simply that he's doing it to be able to get reward, but maybe in that case he's also kanter, which again, ayin this Taisus, that he's doing it to provoke people. He's not really learning for any positive intentions. That's when we say Noyachol Shal Nivra. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Dimit Tamra Mitamra Dimigalia Migalia Beidina Rabba. So look at Rashi. Hanistaros, that which is hidden, Nistaros Mivni Adam should remain hidden. But Goloyos, those things which are revealed, may they be revealed. Yikomakum, based in the Gadol, Kulam Goloyos. However, in the based in Gadol, everything is revealed. Who Yipara min Hamis Kasim Batalisois umarin atzman ki pirushin ve'ena pirushin. So he says that it will pay back those people who cover themselves up with a talus and they give the appearance like they're Perushim when they're really not. Says Gemara, was mihani dechafu gunde, that they're basically just trying to show off. Omerleyane malka ledabese al tisyari, do not be afraid. Min Perushin lo mimi she'ena Perushin ella min hatzavuyin, only those who are min hatzavuyin. Says Rashi, Korma she'ein marisim kisoldaisam el tzavuyin mebechutz. They have a color from the outside. Ve'in teichen kabarim. Their insides are not like the outside. She'daimin al perushim shemaseim kamasi zimri umavakshim sachar kapinchas. Their actions are bad. They're really Rishayim, but they act like they're big tzaddikim, and that is certainly not a good thing. It says the next Mishnah, the long Mishnah, we'll only see some of it today. It says the Mastis, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Ein schus toil b'mayim amorim. No. We don't say, like we said before, that she's guilty, but if she has a schus, she can survive for another amount of time. Because v'ima ta'omer has schus toil b'mayim amorim. If, let's say, she's able to continue to live, even if she's guilty, then madhe atos amayim. Imni kol noshim hashaisis, because you're basically weakening the water in front of all the women. Umaytziata shem ra al hataharo sheshasu she'omrim tameo, saying el shetosel lehen schos. People are going to say, well, she was really guilty and her children are really mamzerim. She really did commit adultery. It's just, what am I supposed to say? It must be she has some schus. So no, in order to alleviate that problem, and also for women not to say, oh, you know what, I could drink this and nothing's going to happen to me. Instead, we say, no, there is no schus. It's not going to protect you. If you did something wrong, they're going to be punished. Rabbi Omer has schus toil b'mayim amorim. There is a schus. Ve'enu yoledes. What it means is she won't give birth. Ve'enu mashbachas ela mis Navna. She's going to continue to get weaker. And eventually she will die of this particular death. So we're going to see the rest of this Mishnah tomorrow's daf. Ad Kan.